Hey guys, it's me, Bitter Steel here, coming at you with a little preview for Battle for the Bosporus. That's right, early access. Thank you, Paradox, for giving me early access and a key for the lovely DLC. Before we dive into it, a word of warning, everything you are about to see is preview and still subject to change. Nothing is set in stone. Now with that done, let's hop right in. Now Battle for the Bosporus adds 3 new focus trees, and it also changes a few of the older ones, but we'll focus on the 3 new ones: Bulgaria, Greece, and finally Turkey. Now I did receive this key a few days ago, but since I've been working very hard at my day job, I did not really have a lot of time to go really in depth with all of these countries, but I did play around with Turkey quite a bit, so I will be playing Turkey for you today. We'll leave Iron Man mode on, and historical AI focuses for that relatively predictable gameplay. But first, if you like these videos, leave a like and hit me up in the comments telling me what you want to see me try next. Maybe a cool challenge, maybe some achievements you're having trouble with. I'm always open to some more suggestions. Also consider subscribing and hitting that bell icon. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload more content. Other than that, we have a very cool and active Discord community. I'll leave links to that down in the description below. And if you're one of those people who likes Twitter, I also have a Twitter. You can find the link for that in the description as well. But enough rambling, on to the video. There we go. Isn't she a beauty? Unfortunately, this time beauty only runs skin deep. Yes, we have the great legendary Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. Just look at those bonuses. Those are incredibly great bonuses. But a little over to the right here and the negatives start popping up. This organized armed forces, while it's not really crippling, it is pretty bad. Just look at them. Yeah. Then there's Sectarian Woes, which is arguably the harshest one for Turkey. Essentially, the country is split into 3 factions who really don't like each other. You have the Kemalists, loyal to the state as long as Mustafa Kemal remains in charge, and they're fighting it out with the traditionalists, people a little more religiously inspired, let's say. They look more towards the past. Conservatives. And then finally the Kurdish people, and well, they don't get along with either of the earlier ones, so there's a bit of a tug of war, a 3-way tug of war going on here, but we'll dive into that a little bit later. Let's look at the focus tree, and my god, is it gigantic. I'm really glad they made this zoomable. Over to the right here you have a sort of smaller focus tree that will allow you to get rid of the negative modifiers for the army. As you finish focuses down here, you will gain access to decisions that will allow you to reduce the penalty of that national spirit at the cost of some political power. And this one down here will simply remove whatever penalty is left at the end. And then there's this giant tree. I have unfortunately not really been able to really have a good look at it. I've mostly been focused on what I love the most, and what I love the most is alt history. That's right, the return of the Sultan is an option. Ladies and gentlemen, today we will be restoring the Ottoman Empire, which unfortunately is actually the shortest of all the paths here. As you can see, there's an extensive communist branch, a very extensive democracy branch, some fascism, it's all here. And all the way at the end here, there's a little bit of an extra alt history thing here. You can go any direction you want, really. You can take the fight to the Soviets, you can take the fight to the Bulgarians, the Cypriots, the Greeks, all the way down to the Turian Empire, which will allow you to take the fight to the Hungarians, the Chinese, and even the Finns and other Nordics. This branch pretty much sets you up for a world conquest regardless of what political ideology you chose, unless you're unaligned, like we're going to do. So it all starts at the top with the Montreux Convention. This will allow us to regain access to the Straits of the Bosporus. As you can see, this is a demilitarized zone. Troops cannot enter. Impossible. While we wait for that, let's organize the military. 31 units, split them in half, and change them all to the regular infantry template. Research, we have 3 slots, not bad, and we'll go for the basics of industry and research. Seeing how crippled our country is anyway, there won't be much fighting early game. We have several years to really build up. Military production, we don't need that many airplanes. I would like some cannon, probably some support equipment as well, and put the rest into infantry equipment. We will need a lot of infantry equipment. For construction, there's a few things to take into account. There's the usual, where you build in provinces that have high infrastructure. But there's a little twist thrown here for Turkey. Right now, states that have this modifier, Kemalist loyalties, will give you an additional 10% construction speed, while at the same time, states that have this modifier, traditionalist opposition, will give you a penalty to construction speed. Now, you will notice that as your game progresses and your national leadership shifts, these bonuses will flip around. The penalties become bonuses, the bonuses become penalties as we push the Kemalists out of power in our path to restore the Sultan. So it's just a little something you want to watch out for if you want to get the most out of your construction. And we'll start out with a hefty amount of civilian factories. Which brings us to our decisions tab. Is quite extensive. I'll put these away for now, but I will let you have a peek at this. It's possible to recall Ataturk to active service if we're in a defensive conflict. So that's pretty neat. The early game will revolve around these two decisions. This one allows us to manage the Kurdish state. Essentially, every 80 days or so, there will be a ticking event. There's nothing we can do to influence that other than working our way through some focus trees. This will constantly bump up Kurdish resistance, which will work through the regular resistance mechanics introduced in La Resistance, making them ever more difficult to keep under control until eventually they will riot, unless you work very hard on containing them. But as you go through the trees, there will be options to dealing with them, either making those areas a core or making those areas less opposed to our rule, either through giving them autonomy or completely crushing the Kurds. Up here are the Kemalist state management tools. This will allow us to either, as the Kemalists, start eradicating the traditionalists, or should we, which we are going to, flip over to the more traditional side of things, this will allow us to purge the Kemalist officers from our ranks and reclaim full control of our country. Don't worry, it's a lot to take in. You'll see what happens as we play through this. That's pretty much all of the explaining done. Let's get into this. Now, our goal with the focus tree will be to stick down the left-hand side of it, working our way all the way down to first achieving Ataturk's dream, and then, well, doing a complete 180 and pivoting to the past. So let's get to work on that. I like to get my intelligence agency early, so I'll just start doing that right away.
A few moments later.
There we go. The Montreux Convention, and we're off to a good start. The United Kingdom lends us its support. Unfortunately, the Soviet Union disagrees. We can either offer them a compromise in which we give them access to the Straits, or we play hardball and we want absolute and total domination of the area. Personally, not a fan of the USSR, so we will not compromise. And unfortunately, well, the British have already abandoned us. So either we can completely cave and the Straits remain demilitarized, or we will play some very high stakes poker here and we will go all or nothing. If we're unfortunate, the Soviet Union will declare. It's a risk I'm willing to take. Call it. Soviet Union backs down. They're in no shape to fight us right now. So first little success. Onwards, we will fully integrate the ish ? Bank. This will do a few good things for us. Some free political power, and we'll also go up to free trade, which I personally think is the best trade. Now, with that political power, we can either smoke out some fundamentalists, but we're not going to. We will be flipping over to their side anyway, so we don't want to weaken them too much. Or we can start handling the Kurds. For 100 PP each, we can take these on-map decisions to counter their effects. Playing a little bit of a ping-pong game. As they get more bonuses, we can gamble away some political power to try and contain them. Personally, not a fan. The odds of us losing all that political power are far too great for me to ever bother with this in the scenario that we're going for, since a little bit further down the line here, at the permit regional elections, we will unlock a different occupation law reconciliation that will allow us to handle the Kurds a little easier. I'll start by spending a little bit of PP on, where is he? The silent workhorse. Focus done. Let's see. We will now ratify the 6 arrows. This will unlock more decisions for us, where at the cost of some PP, we get some positive modifiers to the country. Let's get the financial expert. Very nice. As you can see, we have an extra prime minister here. These will be assigned to us as we complete focuses. Different prime ministers come with different focuses. Since we're sitting on quite a bit of political power, and it might be interesting to see just what these things do, I found one that has a fairly good chance of completing positively. So let's click it and see what happens. There we go, a successful event. This will pump compliance up in the province, it will lower resistance, and you get 75% of your invested political power back. That's great. That's something you want to do, by all means do it. I personally don't really feel like bothering. Oh, another thing to show you here. You might notice that there's a little extra icon up here on my low manpower icon. If you click it, Paradox has included an instructional video on what it means and how you can fix the issue. So that's cool. We have our first spy. Ooh, a commando. Let's start him off with rooting out resistance in the Kurdish territory. We could send him to one of our neighbors, but I don't want to lose him when he gets captured. Let's go for superior firepower, the best doctrine. Now you'll notice I'm sitting on quite a big chunk of political power. Well, that is because as we progress down the tree, we will unlock more and more decisions. All of these decisions require quite a bit of PP, and we need to navigate them as best we can to keep our country from imploding into sectarian violence. So at this point, might be a good idea to have a little bit of a piggy bank of PP so we can get through this without completely ruining the country. We have ratified the arrows. And we have decisions here. These are pretty much the 6 principles of Kemalism, which we can take as we please. Each will have a cost associated with it in exchange for a bonus. Now we will be going democratic, so I'll pick the ones that give democracy support. This one also gives political power gain, so reformism, maybe pick up some populism for the PP gain, and we'll not bother with the rest. Not yet anyway. And we'll head further down the tree here and privatize the Anadolu agency. Next up, lift the ban on other political parties. More democracy support. Bit ironic though that to get the Sultan back, you have to go through a democratic route. Oh well, we'll just keep building civilian factories. We'll be stuck on civilian economy for quite a while, so why waste good construction time on mills? We could do that later. As for research, focus on keeping industry and engineering up to date. Other than that, some good options are air. I like air, green air is king. Doctrines, and your basic artillery and infantry with the optional support. You will have plenty of time to do your research without any pressure for combat, so the industry can take precedence. We have lifted the ban on other political parties. We cannot yet move on to our first multi-party election. That is unfortunate. Oh well, to get further down, we need the rest of the tree anyway. It would appear an opposition movement begins to form. These events will lead up to that election I spoke of earlier. As you can see here, resistance can be quite annoying. As long as you keep your garrisons well equipped, they might actually keep it in check. If you're sloppy in handling this, or don't handle it at all, you will have a rebellion.
Later.
And we can now hold our first multi-party elections. And by finishing this focus here, we have some more options. We have so much political power to spend. Now we can perform some industrial projects where in exchange for 15 PP straight up and a 180-day timer in which we get 15% less PP gain, we get a free civilian factory. Well, not exactly free. Either civilian factories or some resources and a civilian factory. Pretty good stuff in here, but that is a pretty harsh penalty to endure. I'm actually going to hold off with these decisions until we're in the clear regarding the elections and all that sectarian violence. We don't want our country spiraling out of control. Alrighty, we have 2 options at election day. Either the Republicans win or the Democrats. How very topical. I'll just choose the Democrats here. This is not a political statement. That is one shiny face this man has. Time to continue down this tree. We will now be cooperating with the Debt Council to get Turkey out of the giant mess it finds itself in financially. As our ruling party has changed, so has the board. We now have some more decisions we can take, and some of our previous decisions have changed the names. For instance, up here, we now have and fidelity. Instead of suppressing the fundamentalists, we can increase their influence. We'll be flipping more towards their cup of tea anyway. Might as well do that. Clicking the increase influence will give control of a random undecided state to the religious faction, and by empowering them, this will really cement them in place. And as we find more and more Kemalists trying to oppose our new government, we will also have to root them out. Alrighty, we finished cooperation with the Debt Council. Let's head on. The focus down here will give us the option of inviting foreign powers to invest in the country. Also, of course, at the expense of more political power. Let's see here. We can now absorb the TPDA, the Turkish Public Debt Administration, essentially turning them into a part of our government. It would get rid of this thing here, costing us, they're hogging a slot that we could put something that's actually useful into. And they've turned into a national focus now that we can also get rid of by simply paying off our debt at the cost of more PP. You're starting to see a pattern here, I suppose, yes? Everything costs a ridiculous amount of PP. You're going to spend most of the early game clicking these PP decisions, trying to fix this mess.
3 days later.
Alright, time to move on to the right branch of the focus tree. We need these bits before we can go on to the purge of the officers. And we'll start out by having a chat with Afghanistan, Iran and Iraq to improve our relations. And that's done. They all seem to be happy to be our friends. Let's try one of these economic decisions. The Brits like us fairly well. Let's approach them for some investments. There we go. The UK has decided to invest. So as you can see, there's different chances for different outcomes. The best outcome, of course, has the lowest chance of happening. These investments can be anything ranging from military factories like here to civilian or even airfields. Onwards to the Hatay issue. We will ask the French to give us back this little bit of Turkey down here. Hatay or Hatay. Meanwhile, keep rooting out the Kemalists. And the French were kind enough to give us our stuff back. I think it would not be a bad idea to go up to partial mobilization. Start building some mills. Onwards to peace in the world. This will give us a national spirit, Kemalist neutrality. We will be very neutral, I promise. Now we move on to purge the officers. When this focus completes, we will start ourselves a little bit of civil strife. But once that's done, we have cleared the path for the return of the Sultan. And I'm fairly sure we've made the Kemalist as weak as we possibly can. There we go. Officers are purged and the Turkish civil conflict has kicked off. Let's see what we're up against. Yeah, I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all. We won't need all these troops. I'll just make a little bit of a fallback line so the units stuck in Istanbul can spread out a little, and then we push in. Another pivotal event here. The Ottoman officers offer a chance to restore the Sultanate. If we pick the first option, we have the option of restoring the Sultan. If we pick the second option, we're stuck being a boring old democracy. Old glory awaits reclamation. And we are now the provisionary state of Anatolia. Okay then, and since we're non-aligned now, we can start doing some things with Greece. We had a spy network here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, let's start preparing collaboration governments and assign our new generals as well. Alright, I think we've let them walk out far enough. Let's close in and then push into Istanbul. And we've taken Istanbul, and that's it. The civil conflict is over. Peace at last. Let's prepare for the next conflict with Greece. I'll assign 9-ish divisions to the front line in Thrace, and the rest of these units will prepare a naval landing around Athens in the outlying areas. The fleet naval invasion support. It's time to pivot to the past. We are short quite a bit of manpower, and while we could ramp up our recruitment laws, we could also just click this button here, giving us 2,500 weekly manpower. Seems like a good deal. And with pivot to the past done, let's get rid of the final vestiges of the Kemalists. Template time. We'll swap out 2 infantry battalions for 2 artillery battalions. We have a nice 7-2 division, 20 combat width. Not perfect, but good for starters. And we're short quite a bit of artillery now. Unfortunate. And we'll keep working on our focus tree all the way down to Return of the Sultan and reclaim the, well, stuff from Greece. We'll take stuff from Greece here. Now the reason I'm rushing for this one is relatively simple. We have to get there before Italy does. It's already 1939 and eventually Italy is going to come for Greece. And the Ottoman Sultanate is reborn. Look at that, the Ottoman Sultanate. Pretty neat, huh? But we're not done yet. Let's keep this gravy train going and reclaim Greece. And there we go. We are ready to bring Greece back into the fold. Let's see. We have our naval invasion ready to go. The fleet is here controlling the Aegean. We garrisoned the northern front. This is very unfavorable terrain to push into, by the way, so I wouldn't recommend it unless the north is severely weakened. Don't forget to garrison these two islands, or the border with these two islands. And let's kick things off. Oh, and also, I've been making extensive use of prepare collaboration government. I want to knock the Greeks out as quickly as possible. I don't want to risk them joining the Allies. Oh, and keep doing focuses. Let's press the Austro-Hungarian claim. This will give us claims on, well, much of the Balkans, really. And the Greeks are dealt with. Thank God for those collaboration governments. The north of Greece is a nightmare to fight in, and we'll simply be taking all of it. Now, it would not be a terrible idea to turn these into a puppet. However, Italy will come knocking because they also want a slice of Greece. And secondly, if we were to move further down the Ottoman focus tree here to reclaim the fallen empire, this will unlock a set of decisions to restore the empire, which unlocks a series of decisions that will grant you cores on territory provided you've conquered enough of it. Now let's set up for our next target. We'll immediately start preparing for an invasion of Yugoslavia. And as you can see, we do have a little bit of compliance in Greece already. They won't pose too much of a problem provided we can keep our garrisons supplied. And Kurdistan is coming along nicely. This special occupation law reconciliation really helps in bringing the territory under our control. And once resistance is low enough and compliance is high enough, we can start taking this decision, integrate Kurdish state, where for 200 political power each, we can turn every one of those provinces into an Ottoman core. And we have pressed the Austro-Hungarian claim. Let's keep moving down and align Bulgaria. This will give them an event, offering them an opportunity to join our glorious empire as a subject. Now, unfortunately, they've already joined the Axis, so chances are pretty slim to none that they'll accept. But I'm not really sure when this new Bulgaria actually joins the Axis. I've seen it happen on different times in every separate run I've done, so I don't think it's impossible to reach this focus before they join a faction. I just think it's pretty unlikely, but we'll see what happens. And with that focus done, we now have a claim, or rather a goal on the Yugoslavs. We could declare right now. Let's see, our army is in position-ish. These guys need to prepare a little more, but I don't think it should be too much of a problem. And they don't have anything on their northern border. We could use that to quickly push in a little bit. I think I'll take the risk.
A few moments later.
And it would appear the Yugoslav army has arrived. Let's stop our offensive. This is very bad terrain to be fighting in. We were able to push in just a little bit. It's better than nothing, I suppose. See if we can do something with this naval invasion to the north. Still need some time to prepare. If we can land on the coast here and then push on Belgrade, we'll be able to knock them out relatively quickly. To to push out as far as I can before the entire Yugoslav army redeploys from their southern border. This is also nightmarish terrain. It's all mountains, so I want to get across the mountains and over these rivers before I have to fight any Yugoslavs. Well, there we go. A line Bulgaria has fired, and, well, it would appear they agreed. First time for everything, I suppose. Yep, they left the Axis and suddenly became our puppet. This is nice. I'll take it. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Now let's keep this gravy train moving and go for expand the Sadabat Pact. This will invite Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran into our faction. Might not be a bad time to go to extensive conscription. Yeah, we need manpower. There we go. Yugoslavia is dealt with and returned to the fold. Now we could start creating a bunch of puppets out of this, or we could simply take all states. There we go. Now why am I taking all this land instead of puppeting? Well, there are a few decisions down here. Reform several parts of the Ottoman Empire, where if enough territory is controlled, we can click a button and all the land is cored. As you can see, we still need quite a bit to reform Rumelia, but we do have a nice chunk of it. And with all that new territory under our control, we are getting stronger by the day. We'll be expanding the Sadabat Pact and see where this gravy train leads. We're doing well so far, but I do believe we will come to blows with the Axis eventually, so we best be prepared for that eventuality. But before we do, there is one more down here. The Damascus Diktat, where we will essentially give Free France the option of being invaded or give us Syria. And to make our argument all the more convincing, let's just line up our army on the Syrian border.
Later.
Excellent. Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan have decided to join our faction, the Sadabat Concordat. Nice. More focuses. Let's see if we can convince the French to give us Syria. I'm not holding out hope. I think they feel quite strong in the area, with the UK doing well in Egypt. But hey, I thought the same about Bulgaria, so we'll see. Ah, unfortunate. The French think they're so tough, they're not willing to give us Syria. We could go back and take it, but I'd rather not go to war with the Allies just now. I think it's more prudent to take down the Axis once they're knee-deep in Soviet corpses, and then at the end of all that mess, maybe turn on the Allies. We have time. It's okay. Ah, interesting focus here. Reclaim the fallen empire. This will officially turn us into the Ottoman Empire and give us more more decisions to click to get cores. And with that, Reclaim the Fallen Empire is done, and look at that. The Ottoman Empire in its glorious green color. Do I stop there? Let's keep moving. The Pan-National Association of Ulemas. Not really sure what that does, but it will turn Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran into a puppet, so don't mind if I do. And we have some more decisions. Let's look at all these options that we have to reintegrate parts of the empire. Unfortunately, we don't really control any of them, or almost none of them, but we can click on Bosnia. Yeah, let's click on Bosnia. And with this focus done, let's have a look here. Excellent, we now have 4 puppets. The more puppets, the better. So yeah, we've become quite powerful already. Could keep going down to get ourselves some desert camels. Not bad. But I think it's time we fix the military, since we will have to go up against the Axis. I'm also gonna hoard some of this political power, see if we can turn any of these Kurdish states into a core. And as we go down this tree, all the way down to the last focus, will unlock more decisions that require more political power. As you can see, yep, a lot of political power is going to be required. It feels like the theme of this DLC is waste political power, because we don't have anything to spare really to fill out our cabinet, and that's unfortunate.
Many months later.
Okay, I think we've had our share of nation building for now. I think it's time to take the fight to the Axis. We're going to do as much damage as we can before they realize what's up. We are also going to disband this faction. It has served its purpose. Everyone in it is our puppet anyway. They'll follow us wherever we go. And who knows, maybe the UK will be willing to invite us to the Allies, giving us a huge advantage when fighting the behemoth of Germany. Let's start out by justifying on one of our neighbors. The Romanians are squatting on some of our soil, so if we take a claimed state, it's only 100 days. I've also discovered this button in the political actions, alter the royal laws of succession. I'm curious what will happen. Nothing happened. Okay.
2 hours later.
Very well, we have our goal on the Romanians. It's 1942. The Germans are already struggling with the Soviet Union, so I think this is about right to put the final nail into the coffin. If everything goes well, we should receive an invite to the Allies, and from there everything will spiral out of control for the Axis. Let's take the speed down. There we go, the UK has invited us. Excellent. All I have to do now is ask if we can join in their little conflict here, and we can get straight on to business. This is pretty shit terrain to fight in, so the faster we can move and the more land we can take before the enemy responds, the better. A sneaky little naval invasion should help. counterattack in the Balkans is hurting me though. Ooh, yeah, Germans have brought everything to bear against us now. I hope the Allies can shift some troops this way because I sure need them urgently. Meanwhile, our advance in Italy is still going well, so we have that going for us. Yes, a little more Allied support will be much appreciated. My Balkans front is crumbling. Like, real bad. At least the Italian front's still going well. If we can knock the Italians out, that'll be a big help. I can bring that army up to reinforce. God, this is a never-ending game of ping-pong and I'm not winning it. They can just throw so many troops at us and the Allies aren't doing anything to reinforce us. This is typical frustrating AI behavior. I don't have the troops for this. I had assumed the Allies would use this massive border to pour their armies into and up into Germany. Unfortunately, no. They'd rather stick several dozens of divisions in a poorly supplied territory in the south of France. Fortunately, it does seem like those German bars are getting shorter and shorter. I think they're running out of equipment.
Later.
I think I can barely keep the front stable like this. It's going to hinge on how well I do in Italy. I need Italy. If Italy falls, I can redirect those troops to shore up the front. Oh, thank God. Let's quickly clean up these pockets here. And of course, as is tradition, the AI will never let me have any of these states, no matter how much war participation I get. Okay, I think with the fall of Italy, that's a lot of troops out of the equation. My front line has stabilized. Now it's time for cleanup in the north and then see what operations we can do. Maybe a naval landing near Romania could help. Oh, this is unfortunate. The Sultan appears to have kicked the bucket. But what's this? His daughter has taken the throne. Ah, now I see. That's what that decision I clicked earlier does. It allows his direct heirs to inherit, not just the males. Great. Yeah, she has some really good traits, so I will be keeping her around. Long live the new Sultana. What I find so incredibly frustrating is after all these hard-fought battles, the Allies still won't give me occupation. I can't take the Dodecanese, they won't give me Zara, they won't give me Albania, they will give me nothing. Maybe if I give them some of Italy instead. Yeah, axes are crumbling, but we don't have the manpower to make an all-out assault just yet. I suppose I could get rid of these garrison forces. We don't really need them. That frees up manpower for an assault.
20 minutes later.
All that heavy lifting and still like 14% contribution. 13 maybe. This peace deal isn't gonna get us anything, is it? Probably not. If you're wondering why I'm giving away all these states, I'm trying to get the US to hand over Zara and the UK to hand over Albania or maybe the Dodecanese Islands, but unfortunately not having a lot of success. They still think I control too much territory for our contribution. I'd say we contributed a lot, but guess they disagree.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Yeah, Germany is going to topple any minute now. Oh, there we go. Germany's gone! And unfortunately, I believe the Yalta Conference has already fired, locking us out of a lot of stuff. And the Soviets immediately took Zara as well. Let's see. West Germany has been puppeted, Romania has been puppeted, East Germany has been puppeted. Yeah, we will not be getting a lot out of this peace deal, unfortunately. Alright, and that concludes the peace deal. We managed to make a nice chunky Austrian puppet, even took a bit of Tyrol. We have a fairly decent Hungarian puppet. They didn't lose too much, I suppose. And then we have this giant mess in Germany. There are currently 3 Germanys in the running, and we managed to create the German Empire out of them. Okay, this may require some tweaking in a future update. As part of the Bulgarian tree, Germany can grant them occupation of Balkan territories that Bulgaria has pre-arranged with them. Unfortunately, the game doesn't actually check if the Germans are in any way, shape or form capable of guaranteeing that occupation. They're both our puppets, yet somehow Germany said it's okay for Bulgaria to take our land. In the big picture, this isn't a problem. We can just take that back when we annex Bulgaria. But right now, I'm not really in the mood for more shenanigans. I think I'm going to call this video here. So I give you a nice look at that horrible border gore. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun playing with the new Turkish focus tree. There's a lot of really good stuff in this DLC. I can only recommend it, especially if you like to play one of these Balkan miners. The area has gotten a massive update. I'll grant you the area may also need a little bit of tweaking, as you can see by the Bulgarian mess we've made. If you like this video, leave a like, consider subscribing if you want to see more of them, and hit me up in the comments, tell me what you want to see me try next, some good achievements or some good challenges. I'm always up for a good challenge. If you didn't like the video, that's fine. Just hit me up in the comments, tell me what I did wrong. I'm always looking to learn. This has been me, Bitter Steel, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.